beautiful evening, actually, to where we are seeing some clear skies out there, getting rid of the clouds from earlier today, and going to continue to see the potential for some drier weather for the early part of the rest of this week. And then we get into next week, and then that's a whole other kettle of fish, looking at some very good boiled conditions out there, unfortunately, as we go into next week. So not great news, unfortunately, anytime soon. Beautiful view of just past full moon rising on the Lee Point camera. If you have a chance to get out and take a look around, it's a beautiful night. No problems at all for this evening. Feeling comfortable, a nice healthy northeasterly wind. We'll take a look at the current conditions coming up here in just a little bit. All right, welcome to excuse me, Weather Overtime. This is our online video weather blog, giving you an idea as to what is going on across portions of the area. Let me just take 2 seconds here to make certain that we are getting a audio signal through. All right, so far so good on that one. Twitch, it sounds like you can hear me. And let's go back to, well, this is going to take just a second or two, and unfortunately I did not get everything lined up here. So if you've never been here before, again, this is our online video weather blog, enabling you to take a look and see what's going on with the weather situation. Just noticed that my date is wrong, so let me change this over real quick to the 20th, which is what today is. It is Tuesday. So that looks to be correct. So I think we're good to go at this point. So thanks again for joining us. I'm Chief Meteorologist Austin Onig. This is Weather Overtime. And if you got any questions, drop them into the chat function. We'd love to hear from you no matter where you are. If you're in the Tennessee River Valley, around Chattanooga, Tennessee, or elsewhere, just give us an idea as to where you're checking in from. Say hi and check in with our social media pages as well. For tonight, there is a potential. It's a small one, but it is a potential that if everything lines up properly, the record low tonight is 56 degrees, which means that we could possibly see a record low temperature. Now, so far, again, expecting 60 degrees. That's the official computer model estimation on there, but there could be some lower 50s out across the higher elevations of the Appalachians, the Plateau, and areas north of Chattanooga up toward I-40. So if it's possible, if we get the cooling to take place, we might see come close to a record low temperature. We'll see what happens as of tomorrow morning, but keep it tuned to News 12 and we'll keep you updated as to what's going on regarding our temperatures. And enjoy this weather while you can, because things are going to be changing very quickly over the next several days. Another day spent close to our normal high temperature, but more importantly, below it. So that was a very nice little change in temperatures out there, and we will continue for the next couple of days to see the possibility of less in the way of heat. Then things change up there. This is the really bad news at this time, to where we are seeing less in the way of rainfall and a lot more wildfires. We'll show you that coming up in just a little bit. No rain today. We've picked up 1,300. That's it for August, which means we need 2 1/3 inches just to basically break even at this point for the month. For the year, we should be at 35, closing in on 36 inches. We are now officially 7 inches behind on rainfall for the year 2024. Bad news where the drought is concerned, bad news for our wildfire situation, and we're going to continue to see that potential stretch over the next several days. There is a slim chance we might get some chances of rainfall coming up here relatively soon, but it is not going to be tomorrow. Heading out on the bus, thank you TN Stars for being our sponsor for here. If you see a page on here that doesn't have one of our sponsors located on it and you would like to be a sponsor, please contact our sales staff if you have a business in and around the Tennessee River Valley. Temperatures tomorrow, again, should be decently brisk. Not quite jacket weather, but it's getting close. And then high temperatures tomorrow, mid-80s, plenty of sunshine. Thursday, maybe the possibility of some storms coming back through. Not that many, but at least we may see a possibility of that coming our direction in the near future. Temperatures just prior to 10 o'clock. We are back in the 60s and 70s, so it's very comfortable across much of the area. And here's the more important readings, the dew points, to where we have seen some very nice conditions. Again, granted, this is not exactly bone dry, back down into the 40-degree range or so, but this is doggone close, and this means this feels very dry, a little bit more moisture down to our south into around northeast Alabama and parts of northwest Georgia, picking up a little bit more dew point, a little bit more moisture in the air, not by much, but at least we've got some out there for this evening. And then, again, very comfortable conditions for the next few days, but that is going to be going away in the near future. Moonrise over downtown, Bailey's Heating and Air Camera, beautiful view looking off to the east-southeast. Hopefully we'll get a good time lapse out of that one. Going to be on a little late tonight thanks to the Democratic National Conventions. We were way late last night, but we may be even possibly later for this evening. Lee Point, beautiful view of moonrise coming up there. We tried to get the moonrise on the News 12 studios. Unfortunately, as we point the camera back down that direction, there's a big tree in our way, so not even able to see it from the downtown area. Traffic moving along pretty well around Chattanooga Red Wolf Stadium. Very light traffic, something we don't often see at this time. Downtown Chattanooga Theater Center, very quiet. Lots of folks out and about earlier tonight in Coolidge Park, and also into and around portions of the footbridge going from the North Shore back toward downtown. Beautiful and dry for right now. And last but not least, Chattanooga Zoo Cam. Pretty nice sunset out there. We'll try to do a time lapse on that coming up in just a little while. Temperatures across the area back in the lower 70s, as we said, at the airport. Very fresh northeasterly breeze. That's kind of helping to escort in that drier air and keep things very much on the dry side, comfortable, not overwhelmingly humid. Wish I could say it's going to stay that way, because as of right now, things are going to be changing as we go into the next few days, because the heat that has been down over the southwest of us, that is heading up our direction, and this is going to be reinforced over the next few days as we see the hot weather continue into the rest of the week, toward the weekend. That's where we really start to see that potential of where we see, again, the temperatures may be approaching the triple digits by this time next week. That's going to be the issue. Right now, high pressure and low pressure working together to draw down that very dry air, and that is doing a very good job of keeping things dry and quiet. That dry air pushing out and pushing the tropical moisture-rich air down to the Gulf and off the East Coast. That's why we're not seeing much of anything. Some showers up around Iowa and Minnesota and up around the St. Lawrence Seaway. That is about it. And with all this high pressure doing just what its name implies, pushing down to the surface, keeping things stable, there's not much of anything going on in the way of rain. Now, this area of low pressure may stir up a minor disturbance, which might give us some more showers and thunderstorms as we go into and around, say, Thursday or so. Not a great chance, but still a possible threat out there of some thunderstorms. Now, tomorrow, again, upper 50s, very close to the record low temperature of 56 possibly. Lower to mid 80s into tomorrow afternoon. Beautiful day, again, very cool and dry Thursday morning, and then that disturbance works its way up a little closer to us. The latest model run not putting a lot of chances of rain, but we do have some activity going on, and that is where we see that's the best chance of rainfall for the rest of the next several days. Going into Friday, that's where the temperatures really start to climb upwards, and then as we go into Saturday, we start to see temperatures again in the high 80s to the lower 90s. That is where we're really going to wind up with the beginning of the heat. And after that, it looks like we're going to be seeing a lot of very hot weather. Temperature outlook, the short-range forecast from the Climate Prediction Center is showing the potential for above normal conditions across much of the southeastern United States. Basically, the eastern half of the country is from the mid-plains to the east coast is going to be going back above normal in the next several days. So would not be surprised to see at least some temperatures very much on the high side, but again, we hopefully going to be just below record high levels. Whether or not we get there, that still has to remain to be seen. So that is where we're going to continue to monitor for the course of the next few days. Chances of rainfall in the next few days, very small, but we may see, again, the possibility of some showers, mainly east of Chattanooga and the Appalachians, and we're talking about some pitifully small chances of rain, just not that much. East Coast, Gulf Coast, yes, more chances down that direction, but for us, really just not seeing anything in the way of very healthy amounts of rainfall that we could use to lower our deficit by just a little bit. So what does that mean for anything involving the forecast? Well, here's what it looks like in the course of the next several days. We'll keep that marker of showers and thunderstorms on Thursday, even though for right now the conditions were not great to begin with. Just curious, yes, National Weather Service keeping that threat of thunderstorms for this area. So whether or not that remains on there into tomorrow's forecast, which could change, we'll see what goes on. And then over the next few days, temperatures back in the mid-80s Wednesday and Thursday, comfortable, dry, warm, beautiful for August, all things considered. And then as we go into the rest of the week and next week, that's where we're pushing the high 90s. So far, it looks like mid to high 90s extending outwards, but some of the computer models are taking us very close to the century mark. So it's possible we could see hotter temperatures than this as we get into next week. Again, that is something we're going to have to watch. Again, for for outdoor activities. Excuse me, just 1 second here. Talking for this long with my allergy medication sometimes does a good number on the vocal cords. So not really much good news. We have this brief break that has been wonderful, but for right now, again, numbers over the next several days rising pretty steadily and well into the mid to upper 90s. That's going above normal and staying above normal for the next several days after the weekend. So that is where we're seeing a lot of the concern for. All right, let's start off with the tropics, which, again, if you haven't heard, Ernesto is basically over and done with. What's left of it is now making its way up into the area between Iceland and around the British Isles. It's not that much. It is still very strong, winds of 70 miles per hour, and it is now a post-tropical cyclone, which means it's out of the tropics. It is losing its swirling, circular eye wall characteristics. So it's no longer a tropical cyclone. It's a post-tropical cyclone. The winds are still very strong. This could kick up a lot of weather into the British Isles, maybe upwards of Scandinavia if it holds together. But this is no longer a threat. So this has been the last update from the National Hurricane Center, because this is not expected to regenerate and not expected to be a problem for anybody else anytime soon. So the big question is, of course, well, if that's the case, then what's next? Right now, not a lot. The Atlantic is on the dry and quiet side, thanks to all that dust out there. We'll show you that graphic in just a little bit. And then as we look out into the Pacific, we have two areas to take a look at, one pushing 70-80% development, and over toward this side we have Pacific disturbance number 2, lesser potential of development but still something to take a look at. And in between those two systems we have tropical storm Gilma. Now all of this is moving toward Hawaii. Whether or not this is going to be a problem for Hawaii, still a little early to tell, probably at least a week or week and a half out before this moves out that direction. That is something that, again, if you're traveling to the Hawaiian Islands, that could be an issue, so something to look at there. Nothing going on, according to the National Hurricane Center, anytime soon. But here's where we start getting into the problems. And here's part of the bad news segment that we're getting into. Temperatures in the Caribbean, the Atlantic, and the Gulf, anything over 80 degrees is where you have more potential water vapor lofting its way off the ocean surface. That warm water, the air above the water surface wants to expand. The molecules want to get away from each other, and that is where we see the more hot the water, the more active and more water vapor comes off of the surface, which means that any storm system that moves over this, if the conditions are right, can use this water to its advantage to blossom and grow very, very quickly. So that's the problem we've got for right now. That's one of the problems that we have at this time. Take a look at some of these numbers. Again, it wasn't this hot even a couple of weeks ago. It was in the lower to mid 80s, now mid to high 80s. And don't forget that just about 2-3 weeks ago, we had a reading of 95 degrees. That's not air temperature. That's the water surface temperature right out of the mouth of the Mississippi River. Okay, so what does this tell us? It means that any storm that can take advantage of this could generate more potential winds, stronger conditions. It could cause a lot of problems very quickly, which means a lot of beach vacations might get ruined and a lot of people might lose more property. We haven't even hit the midpoint of the season. That's in early September, so we are still on the upswing for the development of these storms going on. Let me share with you at this time some of the very bad news that we have picked up through the rest of the day from climatologists and expert on the tropics, senior research associate at the University of Miami Rosenstiel School, Brian McNulty, posting this chart earlier. Quote, and there it is, the highest ocean heat content in the Gulf on record over the course of the last decade from 2013 to 2023. The red line that you see going up here above the normal, the average at that point in time, right back up there where that arrow is pointing to, back to about, give or take, 84 degrees on average. That, for that area of the Gulf of Mexico, is seeing the most heat content ever held since records were being kept. Again, any storm that wanders across that very warm water could take advantage of that, and we could see some big problems. We have not begun to see what this system is capable of. We're up to the E storm. Again, we're up to Ernesto. That is something, again, we have not even gotten through the rest of the middle of the alphabet yet. So that's one bit of bad news. Here's some more. Not good news to talk of. Again, for people who don't believe in climate change, but here's a basic atmospheric fact. This is not made up. This is information from Mauna Loa, the observatory in Hawaii that keeps track of this from the NOAA GML site, courtesy of CO2.Earth. Atmospheric carbon dioxide continues to rise. It should be going downwards, and as you can clearly see from a year, even a decade ago, we are continuing to rise. Until we reverse this trend, we're going to continue to see the worst potential of the ocean absorbing heat, more storms, and the possibility of seeing, again, more disastrous consequences for our atmosphere. From the Twitter account Extreme Temps, taking a look on the other side of the world, we have featured several days' worth of this information. Just earlier today, in Saudi Arabia, in the region of Al Qasim, 94 degrees. You're thinking, big deal, it's the desert, it's Saudi Arabia, what does that have to do with anything? This was in the Al Qasim district area, 1/2 degree from the all-time record high minimum temperature. That is as cool as it got in that area of Saudi Arabia. That means the low temperatures are not low anymore. They're getting hotter and hotter and hotter the more of these we have. And this is just two of the ones that we featured on this side of the planet. This one exceeds the last record, assumedly. Again, there's some controversy about that, but 116 degrees plus in Elitsi, Algeria. That, again, blew away a 13-year-old record high temperature, again, assuming that was set correctly back in 2011. these numbers continue to come in. They continue to ascend. They continue to be more numerous over the course of the next several days, weeks, months, and years. We'll continue to sadly see more about this. And that isn't even the worst news that I can give you at this time. Take a look at this. It's summertime here in the northern hemisphere, and we've got, give or take, about a month left of summer before we hit the equinox. It is winter time in the southern hemisphere, below the equator. Cuiabá, I hope I'm saying that correctly, Brazil. This was, again, assuming the faint winds that come down the mountainside and heat things up from the east slope of the Andes. This was the hottest winter temperature ever recorded in wintertime in the southern hemisphere. It's wintertime. Again, this is just mind-bogglingly bad news to be continuing to see this happen. And this has been going on in South America for the last couple of weeks. We haven't featured these on News 12 or talked about them on Weather Overtime, partially due to the fact that we just have so many of these coming in. But I think it's more important to start featuring more information like this so you can see more about what is going on the planet. This should not be happening. Again, if we were able to get rid of some of the carbon dioxide, reduce it, if we were able to reduce our use on fossil fuel to stop putting all that gas in the atmosphere, we might see some improvement. Right now, this is terrible climate news. Absolutely unbelievably hot in wintertime in the southern hemisphere. 107 degrees. That's incredible. Incredibly bad, but still incredible. We're going to be continuing to monitor this and bring you more information about all of this as we go through the next several days and weeks. If you'd like to know more, there are plenty of websites that can tell you more about what we've been talking about, so please stop by and find out some more information there. All right, let's do some extracurricular activity. Thank you very much, News 12 viewer. I hope I'm saying this right. John Seswood from Murphy, North Carolina. A beautiful view of both thunderstorm clouds trying to form off in the distance. This is from the Appalachia Dam area. And notice here that these clouds are casting shadows in the atmosphere. Those are called crepuscular rays. It's an atmospheric optic effect. Mountains, clouds, buildings, even at the right angle and with the right clarity of air, you can see these shadows being cast across the sky. Really cool to see this. Thank you very much, Mr. Seswood. Again, hope I'm saying that right. For our Langley Roofing Weather Window News 12 picture of the day. If you've got pictures, send them in to us. We could use some more. We don't have that many left. We could use a new burst of pictures, so get that camera out and take some shots out there. Email them to us, drop them to our website, or go to our social media pages for more. We'd love to see what you are seeing out there, so please give us an idea as to what you are seeing across the area. We've told you about this before a couple of times. This is a calendar contest. The World Meteorological Organization holds this contest every single year, so that if you are a photographer of any merit and you think you snapped a world-class picture, they hold, again, this contest to put pictures in the calendar distributed all over the world. The deadline is coming up for this year's contest. It's September 1st, 2024. It has to be a certain size. It has to be a certain format. There's no cash prize. Just want to say that up front. But, getting your name all over the world in a calendar because you're one of the best of the best of the best, I'd say that's pretty cool. So if you'd like to enter, WMO.int. And remember, you've got about 2 weeks, a little bit less than that, if you want to enter this particular contest. I want to tell you about another photo contest from NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, specifically from the NOAA National Sanctuaries Program, where areas of the sea and land and beach are set aside for the animals. They cannot be developed on, they cannot be mined, they cannot be harvested in any way, and their Get Into Your Sanctuary photo contest is now going on. The deadline for entry is September the 2nd. More information at sanctuaries.noaa.gov if you'd like to participate in this. There are many different categories. It doesn't have to be underwater. It doesn't have to be of marine wildlife, but there are rules on this. Likewise, certain size, certain format of picture, all that type of stuff. And you can find out more at their website. This again ends on September the 2nd. The World Meteorological Organization ends on the 1st. So if you'd like to take a look at this, please head on through and take a look. If you got pictures, great to be able to see more on that. With the Democratic National Convention in full swing, NBC News and MSNBC held a poll talking to young voters 18 to 24 and asking them, what is motivating you to vote? We told you a little bit about this last night on our friendinroofing.com weather/science/climate poll question of the day. And what percentage of young voters say that climate change, the issue of climate change, is motivating them to vote in the 24 election? Well, both Kay Blevins and Andrew Harrison voted for 55%. The actual answer, and the very heartening answer in a way, is that it's not 55, it is 78% of young voters interviewed say that this climate change is a very big matter to them. That is a very heartening thing to know, that basically 3 out of 4 young voters are saying climate change matters, and we want leaders who are going to pay attention to it and work together to do something about it. So that is a really neat number to take a look at, and something that really does, in a way, kind of give you hope for the future, that says that people younger than me who are active voters are saying, we need to do something about this. We need to push this. We need to push back against misinformation. We need to make certain that people are paying attention to this, and that especially includes our elected leaders. So that, again, is something to take a look at. We'll have another poll coming up tomorrow. Not sure what the subject will be, but we'll think of something. More information at wdef.com/vote now. Use the QR code there, or go to our website for more information. And again, stay tuned for more. We have all sorts of polls out there that you can take a look at involving news and sports and weather. So please drop by and take a look at our friendinroofing.com weather poll of the day. Coming up next month, International Observe the Moon Night. It's a night designated to get more people interested in astronomy. Sure, you can go out tonight and say, oh, cool, there's the moon. But if you go out and post a picture, you can participate in a worldwide effort to say, I'm interested in science, I'm interested in astronomy, and Barnard Astronomical Society, based here in Chattanooga, will be holding a International Observe the Moon Night, September 14th, 7 to 11 p.m. It'll be held at Greenway Farm, 5051 Gann Store Road in Hickson, Tennessee, just north of Chattanooga proper. You can look through their binoculars and their telescopes, and as they say on their website regarding this event, if you have never looked at the moon through a telescope, prepare to have your mind blown. It is a very cool thing to take a look at the craters, hills, valleys, mountains, shadows on the moon's surface. More information at barnardastronomy.org if you'd like to check out more there. And I want to definitely remind everybody, again, talking about what NOAA does. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, you just saw their photo contest with NOAA sanctuaries. They keep you safe by watching hurricanes with the National Hurricane Center. They keep you safe with information from the National Weather Service. That data goes to places like the National Climatic Data Center. There are other branches of NOAA that do a lot of statistical research, that take a look at keeping weather for shipping channels open and ready to go, and to monitor changes in ocean conditions or weather over the ocean in certain locations. NOAA does much more than talk about climate change. Do they talk a lot about climate change? Yes, and they absolutely should, because that's part of what they study, and because that job of studying climate change, along with other weather and climate organizations around the globe, is what can get us out of this climate crisis. And yes, we are in a climate crisis. This is something that is very important. There's a lot of political talk these days about certain projects that want to get rid of NOAA, which is one of the most short-sighted, really backwards thinking ideas that has ever existed, mainly because they say NOAA does nothing but talk about climate change, or they talk about climate change too much. So the idea is that if we just get rid of NOAA, then we get rid of climate change talk in this country, and then we won't have to worry about what they call a climate change hoax. So again, this is something that really needs to be talked up these days. And this is one way you can find out what NOAA does. National Weather Service in Morristown, which covers the northeastern part of the News 12 viewing area, is holding an open house. If you'd like to see with your own eyes, ask questions, get interested, be curious, wind up at the National Weather Service September 28th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and find out more about what is going on. Find out more about the details about what you can do at this open house. Weather.gov/MRX. That's the three-letter code for the National Weather Service in Morristown, Tennessee. That's at 5974 Commerce Boulevard, Morristown, Tennessee 37814. Or you can find out more at our website at wdef.com/weather. Please, if you haven't gone to a National Weather Service open house, this does not happen that often. So please consider taking advantage of that. All right, I think that should do it. We're coming up on, about 10:20 here, and we are going to be going on late tonight. Let me see where we are as of this time frame. It looks like the speeches are still going on at the Democratic National Convention, so we will probably be on decently late tonight. Usually we're on at 11 o'clock Eastern. It's a good possibility that we may be on later than that. So stay tuned to News 12 for tonight. News 12 at 11, the late edition. Andrew Harrison, I believe, has the evening's news. Rick Nyman's got sports. I've got weather. And, of course, Chip Chapman has got more on your forecast coming up tomorrow morning, starting bright and early at 5 a.m. for the Peak of the Week Wednesday edition. More information or questions, email me at aonic@wdef.com. More on our website down at the bottom of your screen at wdef.com/weather. We'd love to know more about what you think about this weather blog. If you have story suggestions, ideas from around the Tennessee River Valley, Southeast Tennessee, Northeast Alabama, North Georgia, Western North Carolina, we'd love to know more about what you think about this. And if you have any story ideas or suggestions, let us know. We cannot do this without you, our viewers. So go ahead and give us a suggestion. Drop the information to us any way you possibly can. Phone, email, snail mail, whatever works. We'd love to know more about what you're seeing and what you would like to see on here, that we can bring it to you and let you know more about what's happening in your area or elsewhere around the United States or on our home in space, good old planet Earth. All right, that should do it for tonight. I'm Chief Meteorologist Austin Onig. This has been Weather Overtime for Tuesday, the 20th of August. Thank you very much for joining us, and stay tuned for much more with News 12 on air and online.